Yes, our children, drink deep and feel the searing embrace of the first one. Now it is time for you to acquire what you came for.
The burning in your veins is but a moment of discomfort in your transition to the great beyond. Now we welcome you to your eternity. Drink deeply, have faith, and join us in this sermon.
Welcome back to Koolaid Stand. I'm sick.
I'm not sick. I'm in good health.
Yeah. I get sick like maybe once a year, and this happens to be it. I remember for Christmas, I think it was Christmas this year, I went down to Oregon, and my family, none of them had vaccines for the flu. And I was like, fuck it, I'll get my flu vaccine this year. Why not? And I'm so glad that I did, because my dad and I both had it. When we came back, we were like, we're not sick. And then we got texts from everybody like, oh, we all have the flu. It's like, good thing I took my shot this year.
Vaccines are an incredible thing, aren't they?
They are. Did you know that the flu vaccine is like kind of a crapshoot every year?
What do you mean?
They are guessing based on data which strain of the flu is going to be infective. And then that's the one they create the inoculant for.
So there's like one that gets chosen by like the flu committee every year to be like the only one that can infect people.
No. There's one that they think is going to be the next round of flu infections, and then that's the one they make the vaccine for. It's, but it sounds more nefarious when you put it like that. Where it's like they choose the flu and then this is the one they give you the vaccine for. No, they think they through data and analytics they can have a really solid guess which flu is going to be the next strain of flu that is popular.
I guess I just assumed that you could get any number of like active strains or whatever at any time, and that the shot somehow just was a catch-all for everything. I didn't realize that there was only like one strain at a time.
It's a mass production issue, and yeah, there's only like one major strain that they pick. Sometimes they get it wrong, but that's really rare. So
that's incredible that they're good enough at that to get the right one.
Yeah, dude, medical science is wild. But I don't know what I have. It's some kind of like upper respiratory thing. I don't know. My throat's a little scratchy and I'm congested, but
well, I hope you live.
I probably will. Regardless, the show must go on. So a few weeks ago, I started playing a game by the company responsible for Amnesia: The Dark Descent, and that's Frictional Games. And I'll be honest, I had mostly dismissed their games for an early version of like horror let's play YouTuber schlock, like Five Nights at Freddy's or Slender the Eight Pages, like what people would just kind of now call horror slop.
That's what I thought Amnesia was until you had me like watching some video essay for this episode.
Yeah. And I thought that was too, but like I was not familiar with Frictional Games' game. And I mean that in every sense. The game I played was Soma, a 2015 survival horror game that involves mostly environmental experience, non-consequential story decisions, and light puzzle solving. It's a game for sure, but it definitely read to me more as like an experience. It was very forgiving and not really a skill-based challenge. Any of the moments that would have been are basically just like hide from the thing in new way. Like, don't look at this thing. Don't let this thing hear you. Don't shine light on this thing. Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But what it did offer me was an existential crisis so strong I've been crashing out for a week or more since finishing it.
This shit is crazy.
This shit is crazy. This game is going to take us to an incredibly philosophical place, and I understand that isn't for everyone, but if you can find it in yourself to engage with this episode, I think you may walk away with a level of ego death that could be good for you, or a better appreciation for your life and the way that you experience it. I'm not going to be quoting philosophers or boring theorems. I'm going to try and preserve the narrative experience for you as a listener and walk us through a guided discussion as the narrative of the game unfolds. What I'm trying to say is Jett and I are going to work with what we have and what we know right now and explore the quandaries this game puts you through with layman's knowledge. But before we get started, I want you to hear a couple definitions.
Okay.
Soma
is
this
a noun. Is good. I was going to ask you because I don't think anything is like called Soma in the game, is it?
No.
So I was wondering where the
yeah,
name came from.
Some of the files you can look through are titled blank, 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 Soma file or whatever, but that's the only time it shows up.
Okay.
In biology, soma is the body of an organism, or all of an organism except the germs along with it. And in philosophy or psychology, soma refers to the living body as experienced by the person inhabiting it.
Oh, see, this seems like the definition that we're going to be talking about.
I think both are important. So I played the game all the way through. It was either make Jett play a 10-hour game that he would like quickly, or watch a 2.5-hour video essay. So
yes, I went the video essay route because I didn't have 10 hours over the course of 2 days, unfortunately. But I kind of wish that I did now, because
yeah,
I think, like you said, a lot of the decisions that your character makes and stuff in the game end up being non-consequential. So I feel like through watching 2.5 hours of somebody playing and explaining the game, I have seen what the game has to offer, and I've experienced the revelations that the game is trying to get you to experience in real time. So if I were to play it now, those things would not hit me like a truck.
Well, the thing is I watched that video I sent you is the first thing that I watched, and it's what caused me to bring up Soma the last time we talked about it, like, I don't know, weeks and weeks and weeks ago, during the Video Games Are Woke episode, which this game is woke as fuck, but not in like the modern social sense. It's woke as in the higher understanding of reality sense.
Certainly, yes.
Yeah. But I watched that video I sent you first like a year and a half ago, and by the time I played this game, I knew the major beats, but experiencing it was not lost on me, and it was still a wonderful time. So the game opens with a nightmare. You play as Simon Jarrett, a Canadian bookstore owner. You get into a serious car wreck with your partner and are the sole survivor. You are afflicted with brain hemorrhaging that is currently untreatable and will ultimately end your life. You wake up to a voicemail. You're set to have an appointment for an experimental procedure that could help. You drink your imaging solution and you head to the spot. The clinic, air quotes around that, is a vacant foyer at a college, and the address is currently located behind a keypad. You read some emails at the workstation located at the reception desk. There's a lot of this in this game, looking through computers, and learn that this clinic is temporary and being sponsored. They have to share the combo to the keypad, but not write it down anywhere. So once you find it, you effectively break in and you meet up with who is doing your scan. And he reveals he's actually not a doctor, but it's not in a creepy way or anything. He's just like, I'm not a doctor.
Bit creepy.
Yeah. It's disconcerting, but he's honest enough. I don't know. I wasn't intimidated by him.
I thought he was a bad guy right off the bat, because he is like trying to be forward with you in the sense that the character calls him doctor. And he goes, no, I'm not a doctor. I'm working on it, but this is my project that I'm doing right now. This is my research I'm doing. But also, you just like broke into an abandoned building where this guy was expecting you to show up and meet you, and he like didn't come to the front door and forced you to break in and wander through these like dimly lit scary hallways to find him in a room with a scary electric chair.
Okay, I mean, fair enough. But like Jett said, he's running an experimental research project. He intends to formulate the best possible scan of your brain that science can execute, recreating a model of your neural map and then testing treatments on it to find one that could save your life. And I think that's honest enough, because he explains all that. You sit in the chair, the helmet goes on, and Simon asks, will this hurt? And he goes, it'll be as painful as getting your picture taken. And then Simon says, the Indians believe that pictures could steal your soul.
Foreshadowing is a literary device.
And with that, you blink. No longer in the clinic you just sat down in. Now in some kind of pilot chair. It looks very similar. You're in a dilapidated deep ocean facility at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean near a deep abyssal sea trench. I need to emphasize that your experience was continuous. There was not a single moment where you were aware of anything else but the present. You sat down, you blinked. When you open your eyes, after a blink, you are in a different place.
Yeah, it's like the camera flash, getting your picture taken. And then when your vision comes back after the split second, you're not in the same place anymore.
It would be like if you sat down right now and you blinked and you were somewhere totally different. Like, it's that fast. This idea will be incredibly important in a bit, so hold on to that. You check your body and everything appears entirely normal, but through clues and emails and logs, you piece together it's not 2015, it's 2104. How could you possibly be 89 years in the future when you just sat down in 2015? What's worse, in the time you missed,
Or didn't.
the world ended. The world just ended. The last vestige of humanity is or was right here at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. And believe me when I tell you, this place is fucked. It's actively rotting. There's an entire staff log of missing people. There's black goo all over the place. And these weird robots, also covered in the same goo, some hostile, and all of them are talking like lucid people, like they think that they're humans. When you question one, he says he's Carl Semken, and when you ask him if he knows he's a robot, he talks to you like you're fucking delusional. Like he's like, he says he looks down, he sees human arms, he sees human legs, he's human hurting, and he's hurting really badly, and he needs you to go get a medic. And just down the hallway, you find a corpse with a name tag, and that's Carl Semken.
Yeah, he tells you, you're really hung up on appearances, aren't you?
Yeah.
And then you find his human body like in the next room.
Yeah. And he's like stuck to the floor. You have to kill the power to the facility to divert it to the comm array to talk to the only entirely grounded voice you heard at another terminal. And this deactivates Carl. But you establish communication with someone at the next section of the facility just before the dome caves in, and you look back at your hands and see you've been wearing a diving suit the entire time, which is odd because you just checked your hands earlier and they were human ones.
Yeah.
When you finally make it to Catherine, who is the person that you were looking for, you see she's also a robot. And when you lament that she's not a real person, she quips right back at you that, hey, idiot, take a look at yourself. She says, I think you're a walking, talking diving suit with extra electronics slapped on for good measure.
Yeah, I think that's the line verbatim almost.
You can go find a mirror, and she's right. You're a sentient diving suit. You're a robot. A robot that thinks you're a human. Just like every robot you bumped into before. Just like Carl Semken.
Although, all these other robots you're finding are like stuck and in pain and seem to be... There's something wrong, right? You're able to like walk around and be mostly functional, but these other robots that are speaking like lucid humans are definitely different from you in that sense.
You also take this much better than they do.
That's true.
They all reject it entirely. You get over it kind of quickly. You do ask how you can feel and why you breathe and hear your own heartbeat. And you do experience all these things when you're playing it. You can hear your character breathe heavily. You can hear your character's heartbeat when they start to stress. Like you feel like you have responses to pain. Catherine, who's entirely at peace with her current presentation, elaborates that it's your own mind filling in those blanks. Before you get a chance to breathe, or not really, too much longer, Catherine explains everyone in the facility scanned their minds into a synthetic world she invented called the Ark. Well, not this Catherine. The original Catherine invented it. This Catherine is the first scan that's still around from that Catherine. She asks you to use a nearby terminal to check if the Ark made it to the space cannon down at the bottom of the trench and was launched into space to preserve what humanity could. And it wasn't. It stuck one station before the cannon. She asks you if you'd help. Simon asks if he could be put on it, to which Catherine promises they can both be sent up along with it. With this promise made, Simon agrees, and Catherine asks him to pull her out of this robot and stick her to his Omni tool to take her with. While she's explaining the process, Simon just fucking yanks the chip out and plugs her into his Omni tool and then inserts the tool into a terminal to give her access to the facility that they're locked in. And she picks up right where she left off, in the middle of the words she was saying. She trails off as she notices you already completed the process and expresses that it's incredibly disorienting, but the pause and start of being deactivated like this is continuous, so long as she gets to boot back up, like the time is just missing.
Yeah, she also explains that this feels like she never gets to rest. She explains that it's exhausting to have just a constant, continuous stream of consciousness that is just jumping from place to place all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, there is no, that she does say that, where it's like there's no like moment where she's asleep. It's just awake or not. And that not, it doesn't even process as awake. It's not there. It's missing. It's like the time is just gone for her. Sound familiar? With that said, she essentially pleads with Simon that when he takes her with him, that he plugs her back in. She really impresses that she wants you to plug her back in. Her life, or however we choose to define that, is in our cold and unliving hands. And now we get to break. This early in the game, we are posed with many considerations, so I'd like to turn these questions out for discussion. We'll go by them one by one. What is your experience made of? How do we determine what we are in space?
Yeah, so when I got to this point in the game, I don't think the game brings it up directly, but the video essay brings up the ship of Theseus.
Sure.
In that, if you don't know what the ship of Theseus is, it's an old like philosophical paradox in which you have a ship and it asks the question, if over time you slowly replace every single part of the ship, every plank, every nail, all the sails, every piece of it over time becomes new, is it still the same ship after that process is finished? I still don't know whether I would say yes or no to that question, but the same thing is kind of happening here, because you're a scan of a brain that no longer exists, that has been put into a suit that is not a human body, but because it's still the same mind in a continuous experience, you kind of have to ask yourself the question of whether Simon is still the same guy that he was in 2015, because he's had this continuous experience from that moment in 2015 and now into 2104. He just has a different body. So I think our experiences may be made of you-ness, or yourself is maybe just your mind, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Sure. I mean, I have an actual answer for how we determine what we are in space. It's called proprioception. You have it's one of your senses that we don't talk about in like school, but like it's your sense of where your body is in space. You can feel where you are and you perceive it in that way through those sensors too. Some people have poor proprioception, which means they bump into shit and they don't feel like they have an approximate location of where their body is in space. Some people have very strong proprioception, like athletes, for example, usually know where all of their components are when they're on the court. In regard to your physical experience, do mismatches in reality from what we feel invalidate our experience, or are they just as valid?
I think they're definitely valid. It can really be like disconcerting, especially if you know and feel like you're not experiencing reality in the same way as other people. It can feel invalidating.
Sure.
Because if you feel like everybody else's reality is one thing and yours is different, then I can definitely feel like something's
incredibly
wrong,
distressing,
or you're not experiencing reality properly, right?
Sure. I mean, what I was thinking of is phantom limbs, but what you're saying kind of reminds me more of dysmorphia or dysphoria.
Yeah.
But like in all of these instances, it's incredibly distressing to people who are experiencing these issues where it's like I feel like my limb is there, it itches, but I can't touch it because it isn't there. My body thinks that it is. My mind thinks that the part of my body is there when it's not.
Yeah.
Same thing for dysmorphia, where it's like I feel like my body is not what it presents as, and people tell me one thing and I don't see it. Or dysphoria, where it's like I present as a certain way, and people say that I present in a different way, and I don't feel like I present the way that it doesn't feel right to me. And I think that in instances of like phantom pain, I think that those experiences are incredibly valid, right? You do feel that. there's no choice here. It's you feel it. You feel the pain that you feel, even though the limb isn't there to feel that pain anymore. And I think that's just as valid as if you had that limb and you were feeling that pain.
Yeah, I don't think that we can say that those are invalid ways to experience reality. They just don't match with the generally established understanding of human reality, which is, I think, a big part of why it's so distressing.
But it matches with the reality that is the experience you interpret. Like all we are is just a goo soup that has senses that come in and interpret, right?
Yeah.
So how much of your body is needed to experience life?
This question matches more with what I was saying a couple bullet points ago. Regarding the ship of Theseus and stuff. How much of your body is needed to experience life? Part of experiencing life is physical experience, right? So you do need a physical form to literally experience certain things in life. But I think yourself is more so your consciousness or your mind or your soul or however you choose to look at it. Because, I mean, if we cloned a person, the clone is still a person. I think Simon in this game is still a person. It's a real human consciousness, just in a body that is a diving suit.
Yeah. I mean, I need to stress that if you want to really engage with these ideas, what Simon is and what Catherine is are not large language models, and they're not simulacrums, which would be a large language model's way of recreating someone's personality based on input that they learned from. They are them.
Yeah.
Like, these recreations are perfect. They have sentience and they are conscious. These are people.
Yeah, this is why it makes me think of clones.
Yes.
You can't clone a person and then say that that's not a person.
Right. In what ways? So how much of your body is needed to experience life? I would argue as long as your consciousness is present and aware, you are experiencing it. I could cut away all of your limbs and all of your body, and you could still feel that your body is there in some cases, and you could still interpret stimulation. Like, it's the brain in the jar thing, right? I could put your brain in a jar, and if you can interpret, and I could feed the brain in the jar information, then that consciousness is present and you are experiencing. Like,
yes, I'd say you're still experiencing life.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I said, you're missing like some literal physical experiences that you like wouldn't physically be able to have or do if you don't have a body. But that isn't, I don't think that takes away from living or not living.
Yeah. In what ways is our experience continuous? Like, as we are now, without mental imaging. In what ways is it not? And can we lose continuity in our present experience today?
So, are you asking in what way my experience as myself right now is continuous?
Yes. What are some examples that you might question your continuity?
I don't know that I do question my own continuity. I feel like sleep is continuous. And that's the closest thing I can really think of. Other than that, I feel like I don't believe in like an afterlife or reincarnation. Sure. So for me, I feel like my experience has been continuous since I was born until right now. I've never been knocked unconscious before, so I can't weigh in on that. So sleep, I think, is the only thing I can think of. But like,
when you wake up, it's still you.
It's still me. You usually, even if you fall asleep on accident, you wake up. It might be disconcerting for half a second, but you're still like, oh, I was asleep. And oftentimes you usually have like some idea of how long you were asleep even.
Yeah.
Like you have a subconscious understanding of the sleep that occurred.
I would say being knocked unconscious is a lot less controlled. I have been knocked unconscious before. Because you lose a portion of your memory. Oh, no, you've been knocked unconscious through anesthesia. You've been through surgery. And
that is disconcerting. I had not thought of that. That is disconcerting.
Because like literally anything could have happened. And I know what happened around that moment, but I do not exactly remember falling unconscious. And I just remember like going in and the mask going on and then waking up and it was done. Like, there's a gap.
This is, the anesthesia is a weird thing if you haven't had it. Sometimes they'll have you like count down from 10 after they put you to sleep because it knocks you out really fast. It will knock you out in like 10 to 30 seconds once it gets going. And for me, I lost a little bit of like the memory leading up to when I was put to sleep. Mm-hmm. It's very foggy, and I don't remember really my surroundings or the actual part where I fell asleep. And then, yeah, it is super disconcerting because it is like the next thing you know, you're awake somewhere completely different.
Yeah. And
And
something has been done to you.
and it is not like sleeping.
No.
Because
Not
I
at all.
had no idea how much time was passed. I felt fucking exhausted, not rested. And
Yeah.
I there's no dreams, there's no waking up to go to the bathroom. Your subconscious is not checking in with you in any way. You're just gone and then back.
So I would say that that's a loss in continuity. We just happen to maintain the continuity because it's just us. there's no replication that happens. But
Right.
like,
no second me was created that
Yeah.
I know of when I had knee
Yeah, yeah.
surgery.
So anyway, through a series of daring moments, we make it to the station that is supposed to contain a deep sea vessel called the Dunbat. That's what we'll take to get to the deep ocean facility to collect the Ark and deliver it to the cannon. Security clearance is locked down, though. You head off to the crew quarters to maybe find some clues there, and here's where you find the area Catherine did all the crew scans, and here's where you get a bit of a lore dump. First, you find a terminal with 4, quote, legacy files on, and one of them has your name on it and has some audio recordings. The other 3 are essentially the 2 guys working on the project that scanned you, originally in 2015, and the guy who invented the scans in the first place. Here you find out that the original you died only days after your scan. The treatment didn't work. But you agree to let your scan live on, basically as a way to keep living. Then you learn that these 4 legacy scans are essentially included in every AI dev kit as a way to start working on your own AI. You have the option to delete these files if you'd like, but it isn't required. The entire facility is covered in so much goo. There's goo everywhere. These black tendrils are all over the place, glowing blue nodules on them, and Catherine explains this is a facility-wide AI called the WOW that was originally intended to preserve the facility and run it. It doesn't really have a consciousness like you or Catherine, but a directive. For some reason, after the apocalypse, the WOW sort of broke and went crazy. It's the same stuff that's on every sentient robot you find, the same stuff on Catherine's Cortex card, and the same stuff on you.
They compare it to a cancer, I believe.
Yes.
An
Yeah.
AI that behaves like a cancer. Seems like a
And
great
you do
idea.
You do find humans that are like falsely preserved alive as they are through like
Yeah.
weird biomechanical lungs and components, and they're plugged into power.
You often have to unplug them, which kills them.
Yes. The WoW, all this to highlight the WoW's definition of alive is loose.
Yes. Well, I guess we're gonna try to define alive as well. But these
Yes.
things that are being kept, quote, alive by the WoW with artificial biomechanical lungs and stuff like that, those human consciousness scans are still in there. They're often just suffering and want to die because they're experiencing the pain in that biomechanical body the same way that flesh and blood human might.
Some of them are still flesh and blood humans that are artificially kept alive longer than they should be. So it's like, which one? Like, they're both as valid, I think, is what I would like to say. Sometimes you do find them and they're chill with it. Like, there's one robot kind of stuck on the bottom of the ocean somewhere you run into, and she's like, "Is this it? Am I in the Ark? This is awesome."
So that's actually something I don't fully wrap my head around with this game, is that some of them seem to have no idea what's going on. And they don't seem to be able to look around them and see how fucked the physical environment is.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of like, they're lucid, but they're just like tooting around doing their thing. And then other ones are like, I'm suffering, kill me. This is hell.
I think some of the recreations or some of the bodies that get put into are better than others, or lack certain sensory equipment that like makes it easier to be in their current circumstance. You find out the WoW got to some preliminary brain scans Catherine had made and awoke totally perfectly recreated neural maps of the people that Catherine had scanned. They thought and felt everything they thought and felt before. Catherine was able to recreate what the WoW did, and that was the final step to creating the Ark she needed to bridge. But the scanning process wasn't simple. Some people elected to kill themselves as the scan ended or soon after the scan had ended, believing that would guarantee them a continuous experience from this version to the next within the arc, that they would wake up in the arc. This death cult believed in what they called the continuity, essentially that you had to maintain a continuous experience from one version of life to the next. You had to reunite your fractured soul. Ultimately, this would get the project shut down, as 4 people had done this, leading the security director to put a halt on any further scans and forcing Catherine to just push forward with what she had. Jett, you know something that is obvious? Don't say it yet, because
Okay.
I'm preserving that element for later.
You got it.
In order to acquire the security clearance to proceed, you find a security manager's scan in the archive next to the scan room. Catherine suggests waking him up because he can give you what you need. But be careful not to stress the scan out too much because it'll shut down. You go through multiple phases of waking him up, watching him melt down, and the simulation choking because the scan was overstressed. You eventually build a good enough environment, but he's innately untrusting of Catherine. People do not like Catherine very much. So you
No.
look around in his room to find someone that means a lot to him, and now we wonder why. Catherine simulates her presence in the simulation to goad the information out of him before you close the simulation down after you got what you need. This process is slow and it's grueling, and it just feels harrowing. The game at this point leaves you with zero wiggle room. You are resurrecting this man. Or are you? If I recreated you entirely and both had the same experience up until the very moment you were copied and both had a continuous experience till the moment of replication, which one of you is entitled to be you?
I still don't know how to answer this question, and I've thought about it a fair amount.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to talk about why the death cult is killing themselves, like their logic behind it at this point?
I'm obscuring it for a more impactful
Okay.
point later.
So if you recreated me and there was 2 of me, and we both had
And
a
that's as far as we
continuous
could say about
experience,
that. Yeah.
which one is entitled to be me? I think there's just 2 me's.
That is also what I think.
It's tough because it's just a tough thing for me to wrap my head around. I've tried to think
Sure.
about it, and I don't
Yeah.
feel like I have an answer that I can like confidently explain and back up. Because it's not going to be like cloning. Something people talk about if you have a clone is nature versus nurture. Eventually, as you and your clone age, you will become different people in a sense based on your life experiences. You would make different decisions. You would like different things. You would take your life in different directions. This is different. This is 2
This
of
is
the
you.
exact same consciousness.
Now,
And
as
they're
time
both
goes on,
existing at the same time.
yeah.
Neither
I mean, as
one is
time-
entitled to you at that point. I think there's just 2 yous, but I don't know how you square that.
I don't think either one of them is more valid. I mean, Invincible kind of deals with this a lot because there's characters that clone themselves to have 2 of them, and they do this exact process. They create a clone body and then they replicate their mind in the other one, and they both wake up and neither of them knows which one is the clone, and they have to do this because they know internally that one of them will subjugate the other one if they knew that they were the quote inferior clone. They also know that it's foolish because they're both the same. Another character has a really bad body and needs a better one. So he puts his consciousness into a new body and they both wake up and one of them does know which one's which. And they just know there's a coin toss there. But yeah, I don't think either one is more entitled to the life you have.
There's also no original, I don't think.
Yeah, because you're both as original as the other one. I guess if you wanted to say that there was an original is the one that sat in the chair and gets out of the chair. Sure.
But once the
that's
body
so
is
subjective.
gone,
Who cares?
once the original body is gone, there's no original. Your consciousness just exists twice.
Is the original even more entitled to say it's you than the you that you are as a digital version? Like,
I don't think so. That was just the
No, me
first
neither.
place that my head went in trying to make this decision about which one is the real one or the more entitled one to the title of you. Is like, well, which one was the original one that existed before the second one? There isn't an original one.
And with that being said, is what you did to acquire that security clearance acceptable?
What do you mean by acquire the security clearance?
Like to wake him up and stress him and crash him over and over.
The guy that you're
again.
trying to get the codes out of in the game.
Yeah.
No. I mean, at the end of the day, we're asking if the ends justify the means, right? Because we're trying to save the ark, which at this point Simon and Catherine see as saving all of humanity. So you're asking if like killing one guy or torturing one guy is worth saving humanity, kind of.
Well, yes, and also what would you call what we did? And I think you already said it.
I think I would call it torture and
that was torture.
Horribly unethical, because when you watch this guy wake up, when you wake up his consciousness in this simulation, he clearly is having a continuous experience. He is experiencing continuity in his consciousness. It's like when you woke up. He's like, oh, that scan wasn't so bad. Wait, where the fuck am I? And you try a bunch of different things, and every time you try it, he loses his mind and like panics. And making somebody panic and lose their mind over and over and over and over again is torture. And then even if
the newer, sorry, I just want to say the newer ones don't know that it happened already.
Yeah, but
each time it's just torture again, though.
It's definitely continuously torturing a guy. And then what you eventually end up doing at Catherine's urging, where you put his trusted love interest or whatever in front of him to like trick him into giving you the code, and then making her disappear in front of him.
Yeah.
Like just destroying his reality like that is also torturous. So it's horribly unethical. It's torture. Is it acceptable? That depends on whether you think torturing one guy for hours on end is worth saving the ark or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's a fair answer. And this leads me into my next one is which I think we've already answered though, is a perfect simulation of a person as valid a soul as the living one? And I think we both think that it is.
Yes, I think that it is. I also don't think that these brain scans, I wouldn't call them simulations, because I don't think we should think of them, like you said, as like AI recreations of a mind. It is the same mind.
It's a clone. What if the prior soul died as the replica persisted? I think that we both think that there's just one you now, right?
Yeah, but I don't know because if there's two minds, there's probably like two separate experiences going on. If there's two separate physical bodies with the same mind, right? Like, it's not. I think that it's not one mind experiencing two bodies at the same time.
No, it's two experiences, and the death cult was trying to basically make it so when one sat down in the chair, that one would die, and then the next one would persist on beyond that. So it would be one solid experience.
Right. My take on this is the death cult is wrong, and the person who kills themselves in the chair just dies. And then there is a new identical consciousness that begins existing once the scan is activated.
All that to say, reawakening this guy and killing him over and over and over again is exactly what I just said. This is a human that we are resurrecting and then executing.
Yes,
over and over. You have the opportunity to close down a simulation or let it persist until the facility breaks down and the computer breaks and he's in there alone. Would you end his simulation?
If in the game I had the choice to end his simulation, because he's in a torture chamber.
Yeah.
And I would feel better about it too, because he's, like you said, he's not aware that he's being woken up and killed over and over again.
Yeah.
He's just having these short, like 2-minute experiences and he's not aware of any of the other times that he's woken up and died.
Yeah, but our interpretation of this is something I never even thought about. Our interpretation of his experience is continuous. We know the whole history. So it's like.
Right. Which is why I would end it, because when I look at it, I feel like the same guy is getting, even if you don't feel like the same guy is getting woken up and killed again, there's like 100 guys that have woken up and gotten killed. which is still not great.
Hold on to that thought, because would you delete the remaining legacy files? How many times do you think that your legacy was resurrected, lobotomized, and tormented as novice AI psychologists practice their craft? But does it matter?
I think it matters. Yeah. I think there's like if this stuff existed in real life, there would be really heavy ethical questions surrounding this.
But the you right now in the game didn't experience all of that and has no idea of how bad it is or was.
Right. I think it probably would have. I think the legacy files are probably unethical to exist at all.
How does is this fate better or worse than death? Does the nature of this process make you immortal, or is it damnation?
That's a matter of personal opinion, I think.
Sure.
Because you can look at this as like a scientifically realized afterlife, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Or you can look at it as like
from an outside, from a
fucking with
continuous
somebody's
perspective,
brain and messing with their memory and torturing them.
For an outside perspective, each individual one of them is resurrected and died, right? And that's all they know is they had that one experience and that's it. But from an outside perspective, we know that ongoing process is continuous. Like they are resurrected without any knowledge of the previous torments, and then they die tormented, over and over and over again.
For me, it's closer to damnation than immortality. Because
I agree.
If I'm thinking about what I would consider immortality, it would include if you had been alive for 1,000 years, your consciousness had been around for 1,000 years. Immortality, in my mind, would include 1,000 years of memory to go along with that.
Yeah. Ultimately, do you believe in continuity? Jarrett died essentially right after his scan was done, and now Jarrett lives on as one continuous experience. Would you kill yourself to reinforce your own continuity?
This is difficult because later in the game, Jarrett does not experience continuity in the same way.
Yes.
That's what I will say for now.
I'm asking you this question with the information that I provided you now. Do not think about future context. This is what you know at the moment. Do you believe in continuity, and would you kill yourself to reinforce it?
At this point in time, I would say
with the logic of the death cult, would you do it?
With the logic of the death cult, absolutely not. But with Jarrett's lived experience in that he remembers his life in 2015 leading up to his brain scan, I think I would be questioning, if I was Jarrett, whether the death cult was right or not. Because I'm like,
I agree.
Well, I came back 100 years later, and I feel like I came back because I remember being alive in 2015. And is the death cult right? But logically, I'm like, no, the death cult's not right.
The things he doesn't remember aren't really important to his experience. It's slowly dying of brain hemorrhaging. Like it's honestly kind of pleasant that you wouldn't remember it. So like, anyway, it turns out the Dunbat is also covered in WoW and also had a consciousness trapped in it, and it falls into the abyss before you can make use of it, screaming, mind you, about how this is all Catherine's fault. You make it to the next area with a proto-arc and an NMRI machine. First, Catherine asks you to get into that machine to check out what you even are. You're a robot, right?
Yeah.
How interesting could that be? And you are, but you aren't. You are actually mostly a woman named Imogen Reed, a woman that died in the pilot chair before the WoW fused dive telemetry to the remaining corpse and implanted your mind image into the telemetry equipment. How much of you needs to persist for it to even still be you? How much of your body is you?
I think we're getting to the point where we're kind of saying that the body is not you, right? It's right. Your mind and your consciousness. If you've ever seen Freaky Friday, where they swap bodies, I don't know if people watch this movie and read it a different way, but like when the daughter and the mom swap bodies, I'm like, the daughter is in the mom's body, so that character, the mom's body with the daughter's mind, is the daughter.
Yes. Yeah.
And the daughter with the mom's mind is
the
the
mom.
mom. So
I don't
I'm
think of these
taking
characters
it
as like now fusion characters.
yeah,
Like,
the person is where the mind and consciousness is, not where the body is.
I don't think anyone would say getting an organ transplant invalidates your personhood. Even though that portion of you was once a portion of an entirety of somebody else. So what are we? And I think what we're saying is you are your experiences. For lack of a better term, you are your soul.
Yeah, and we have a body that the soul like inhabits, I guess.
So maybe we do believe in a soul, just not the whimsical version that goes to heaven or hell.
Yeah, I guess I keep saying like soul / consciousness / mind because I'm not totally sure how to define that part of it, but I think I'm kind of speaking along the same lines when I use any of those words interchangeably here.
With all that being said, being yourself within the confines of essentially somebody else is with all that being said, being yourself within the confines of essentially somebody else's entirety, that's still an uncanny thought. Why do we think that is?
I think because you would feel like that's not your body, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm pretty used.
But why are we so attached to our flesh?
I think I don't know that I'm like emotionally attached to my flesh. I think it would just be extremely disconcerting and alarming if I didn't have it anymore, and especially if I had something else in its place, because it's the only way that I know how to interpret and understand and interact with my physical reality. If you take that away from me and replace it with something else, a huge chunk of my reality is just gone, and something entirely different is there now.
Yeah, I think our entirety is part of our personhood, and you can learn to live without your entirety, but it's not really worth blaming you for being attached to that entirety, if that makes sense.
No, certainly not.
Do we hold violations of the body and violations of the soul as equally weighted? What if the soul of that body wasn't present to experience the violation?
I also think this is kind of a matter of personal opinion. There's a lot of people who in real life find the body to be sacred and people literally see things like tattoos and piercings as like marring of the body, and they weigh that the same way as like marring your soul.
Sure. Yeah.
So I do think that this is a matter of personal opinion. Do I hold violations of the body and soul equally? I don't. I think some people do.
I don't either. But what if the soul wasn't around to really have much of an opinion or care about it, and you didn't care, right? Like,
that's like asking if it's like cool to fuck up a dead body. Which I would say no. It's you probably shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah. Is organ transplantation a violation of the body? And if so, which one?
There's a reason we ask people to give permission.
Yeah. Okay, good point. I don't think Imogen gave permission for this to happen to her.
I don't either, but I think there's a reason that you have the little heart on your driver's license. I think there's a reason that you have to ask to use a body after, like, for this kind of thing after you die, because some people weigh that the same as a violation of the soul, and other people are like, I don't care if you take apart my body to help other people after I'm dead.
Yeah, no, I think we're in the same position on it. But hold those notes. Well, with no Dunbat, you need to find another way to the deeper ocean. And whatever the fuck it is, and whoever the hell's it is, the body you are within is not capable of withstanding the pressure. You need a better dive suit. They have those at a deep ocean lift that, as it so happens to be, is how you get to the next region on foot where the ark is. Anyway, how fortuitous.
Great.
The next region is locked down through a quarantine. No idea why as of right now, but you can't get in the main door. Catherine one made it through this way ahead of you with her squad to deliver the Ark to where it currently waits. So there has to be another way through. You restore power to the facility, but it remains locked down tight at the front door. So taking the long way around, you eventually get inside. From the inside, you pass the main entryway, and there are a lot of bodies, all of them headless. If they quarantine the building, why would they all be trying to escape? Love me some environmental storytelling. You make your way to the dive room, and hey, there is one suit left, but it has another body inside. That's Raleigh Herber. Catherine explains this is actually like way better because you can't really fit your current suit into that one, and it's all fused together anyway. So if we recreate the process with Raleigh's body, we can leave the Imogen body behind and transfer you to the next one. Or as Catherine says, quote, something like that. All you need is a power cell, some structure gel, and a new set of telemetry equipment to make yourself a new head, which Raleigh's, like everyone else, specifically in this particular facility, is missing anyway. How fortuitous.
Yeah. Catherine's getting a little bit suspicious at this point in the game, if you couldn't tell.
Yeah. The structure gel is the second piece of the puzzle that hadn't been entirely explained. Essentially, it's sci-fi goop that can be programmed and has self-learning capabilities to fix anything, both electronic and mechanical and biological. The WoW is what sort of broke it, and the combination of the WoW and its programmed structure gel is what's really fucking everything up here. Anyway, find everything, slap it all together, and a new body awaits your transfer. You sit down, and Catherine says it'll be fine, just like getting your picture taken. Simon says, with a touch of lament, but humorously, because he just said this like a couple hours ago, you know, the Indians believed that pictures could steal your soul. And with that, Catherine says, in this case, they'd be correct. What? without anything further, you blink and you're good. Same you, new body, sick. And then you hear yourself in the next room asking, hey, why didn't it work? And then Catherine scrambles and is wondering why, quote, he's still awake. And now you press Catherine on why the fuck you're still in that body and why wasn't it a transfer? She explains that you knew it worked like this. How couldn't you? It isn't a one-to-one transfer. It's a replication and implant.
Catherine is a gaslighting, gatekeeping girl boss, bro.
Yeah. Yep. The only difference between you two is that you won the coin toss. You express how absolutely fucked and misleading this all was, and Catherine tees up who we'll call Simon 2, I guess, because you're now Simon 3. Or as the friend I was playing the game with referred to as Slimin, because you put the slime in the body. She teased Simon 2 to be terminated by the console, if you feel so strongly about it. Then she gets quiet and says she's ready to move on. Once you get on the lift, you plug Catherine back in and you have a discussion with her about the meaning of all of this. She explains that she has the same memories and same feelings as she did before, has the same grounding experiences she had when she was a child. Her experience now is just as valid as her experience before. Simon asks what she feels like with another her running around, then if they're both valid. To this, she responds that she doesn't like to think about it because the thought makes her deeply uncomfortable. Then Simon asks if they ever figured out if there's an afterlife. Is there still room for him there if there was? Or is that spot already taken? What happens to him now? What happens to Simon 2? What about all the copies of him from the dev kits? Is there a place full of copies of himself all equally clamoring to be called Simon? Aren't they all Simon? Can the fractured elements of his soul ever be reunited? Or should they even? Catherine has literally no answers and has before avoided interfacing with this line of questioning and continues to do so for the rest of the game. So, if I replicated you and one of you is going to be left behind, would you kill the you that you aren't?
So at this point, I'm like, man, the death cult was kind of right.
Yeah. Yup. I chose to kill that Simon.
Yes, and I would have done the same thing if I were playing the game myself. But if you do that, you're following the death cult's logic.
But is that a decision of mercy or of continuous preservation? Because for me, it was one of mercy.
I think that's why you make the decision, but in order to make that decision mercifully, I think that includes accepting the death cult's logic in order to do so.
And that's why I'm asking, what's the difference if the outcome is the same? And functionally, I don't think there is one.
I don't think there is either. This is kind of like alternate timeline stories where there's a bunch of alternate timelines branching off. I think they do this in like the Loki TV show where they're like, we got to go and like shut down all the alternate timelines.
We have to
like,
trim it. Yeah.
We have to trim off the alternate timelines. So there's just one true timeline going through the middle. Right. So, I mean, you can go and say, you can use the logic, let's go kill all the other Simons. That way the one true Simon can persist. They can be mercy killings. You can use whatever reason you want to shut off the other Simons, but I think any of that includes accepting the death cult's logic that
you have to kill you.
You have to kill you to have one continuous conscious experience.
Earlier, I asked if you believed in continuity. Do you still think the same answer when the new you becomes the external force that makes that decision for the prior you, and the prior you isn't decided for the new you? What I'm asking is, do you...
I mean, technically, this isn't a different you making this decision. It's just you making this decision, which means that no matter what you it was, the same decision would have been made no matter what.
Yeah, whether it's the you that stays behind or the you that proceeds forward. I'm just making a difference because you're still killing yourself, yes, but the difference is the you that dies is making the decision versus the you that lives on is making the decision.
But I'm not even seeing those as separate yous.
Yeah. I mean, especially in that moment, they have not had the time to branch out and become different people yet.
You're just killing yourself with a different body.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that's also still you. Catherine seems to be very driven by accomplishing the mission and will make any sacrifice necessary for the greater good. Do you think she's warranted? And does that warrant absolve her of criticism?
No, I don't think she's warranted. I don't think that the arc is even really like necessary. And she's doing like horribly unethical things to like preserve the arc and make sure that it ends up in space to like save humanity. But all of this is, I think, for her specifically, just tangled up in like a deep inability to accept death.
Let go. Yeah, no, that's a good point. My next question requires some explanation. Is Catherine an evil demon?
Is Catherine an evil demon?
Let me explain. I'm sorry, I did somewhat mislead you. We will be bringing up one particular philosophical quandary. Basically, Descartes imagines that a malevolent god or an evil demon, or sometimes described as an evil genius, of, quote, utmost power and cunning has employed all his energies in order to deceive me. This malevolent god or evil demon is imagined to present a complete illusion of an external world so that Descartes can say, quote, I shall think that the sky, the air, the earth, colors, shapes, sounds, and all external things are merely the delusions of dreams which he has devised to ensnare my judgment. I shall consider myself as not having hands or eyes or flesh or blood or senses, but as falsely believing that I have all these things. This line of thought is supposed to impress on a perpetrator that essentially brings you to question all morality and reality in order to essentially erode the very existence of these things, ultimately to guide you to their design. Think like this. I can trust and believe nothing. Therefore, there is nothing to believe in or trust. Therefore, my acts are of my own. Because it's easier to convince you to do things if you have no baseline for morality in these decisions. So, with all that said, do we think Catherine is an evil demon?
No, I don't think Catherine is an evil demon. I think she is extremely manipulative. I think that she went crazy and like could not let go of her project. She was literally willing to do anything possible, and that she like, I guess, awakened Simon and like deceived him through this whole process to get him to finish her project that she just can't let go of. But I don't think that she's like creating Simon's reality.
I think the creating of reality is the fact that she never wants to interface with any kind of moral quandary. She continuously, like, she sees that Simon is distressed by the decisions he's having to make. So she says things that are like, well, I mean, it's kind of like this, but it's not that big of a deal. Like, she's constantly saying that there's no real moral questions. Who's to say? Who's to know? I don't know, even though she knows.
I think
you know what I mean? Like,
she's doing that partially to like get Simon to keep going.
And that's why I think she's an evil demon. But
she also, I think, I don't think anything is too unethical for her if it means that the ARC project is going to get completed.
So you're saying that these decisions are coming from a place of like self-preservation more so. I'm saying them because I think she's actively attempting to manipulate Simon.
She definitely is actively trying to manipulate Simon and is gaslighting him like crazy through the entire game.
Yeah.
In the terms that she's making him understand reality in a way that he probably would not otherwise understand reality. But you're also made to question and misunderstand reality throughout the entire game. So I guess that makes it a little bit hard to say for me. I think Catherine is an individual who is literally willing to do anything. Like, no step is too far for her to finish this ARC project, and you happen to be like the tool that she decided to use to do it.
Yeah, I can see that. I just think it was a really interesting idea that would be cool to discuss, and so we did. Anyway, I have to take another moment to express how well crafted this game is as an experience. As the elevator descends thousands and thousands of meters below into the abyss, you watch as the environment grows dim to pitch black. Your stage lights on the lift are the only source of light available, and the images on the terminal that show you what the relay terminal stations are seeing, that like transfer the data from the next station to the one you just left, they present only deep, horrifying, wow-influenced creatures. Eventually, the elevator halts and loses power as a relay flips. You have to climb onto the top and restore power. The inky depths above, around, and below you are miserably etched into your mind as you fumble for the relay switch. But if you wait and take a second, you become surrounded by bioluminescent jellies and protozoa. You are truly alone. Catherine doesn't have power right now, but you feel safe and surrounded by the real life beauties we have here on Earth in the vacant vast void of the deep ocean. The trek from the deep sea elevator to the next facility is grueling and horrifying. There's a deep water storm rolling in, and the WoW has been leaking out of the facility and modifying local wildlife to some design we don't really understand. It makes them highly aggressive. So you get to wander from small dying light to small dying light in the thick of a storm, being actively attacked and prodded from all directions. Seeking desperately to find shelter in some cave or some rundown store locker, you were robbed of your sense of sight and hearing because of the dark, lightless rift of the abyssal plain, as well as the roaring current of the storm. But when you make it about halfway, you take shelter among some thermal vents, and for a brief moment, you are presented again with a beautiful show of glowing shrimp and coral and spider crabs and floating glowing polyps before you are pressed back out into the miserable storm. The first light you see after returning to the path is also an anglerfish. Fuck you, Frictional Games. Fuck you. Once you finally make it to the next stop, you learn that Catherine and friends made it to the gun, but the Ark was still returned. They chose not to launch it. When you finally find it, you are faced with the self-described last human on Earth. She has been watching over the running Ark, dying alone. She hasn't been hooked up by the WoW. She is alone on her own living. There was some moral quandary she doesn't elaborate on that left them with it unlaunched. She hands the mantle of its responsibility over to you. She's out of options. Then she asks you for one more boon. She wants you to pull the plug on her life support, and she's certain about this. You don't know if she's really the last human. You haven't identified Catherine's body yet, but she seems sure that she is. There is no right or wrong answer, and this choice is yours to make. What would you do?
For some reason, this one feels a little different, right? Because they make you feel like this is an original, right? This isn't a copy or whatever. I think I would still pull the plug. You're it feels merciful, I guess, in this situation. She seems very sure that she's ready to go. I'm not sure why she doesn't do it herself, I guess, but yeah, staying there just seems like torture. So
I mean, you've been killing people all game, but this is the first time you've been tasked with killing an entirely organic original. Is she any more or less entitled to this consideration? Is she any more or less valuable to leave living?
Logically, I think no, she's not any more or less valuable. But having said that, something about it feels different.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not entirely sure why, but I chose to pull the plug and stay with her while she passed. She is surrounded by pictures of beautiful greenery. This is the environment inside the Ark. She is reminding herself why she's guarding this device. Would you be reassured that a version of you wasn't suffering this way, or would you be envious?
Oh. Would I be envious of like the Ark version?
Yeah.
Personally, I think no, because I don't think I would be able to. I think, yeah, I think I would be envious of the Ark version because I don't think I wouldn't be sitting there like, oh, once the life support is off and I'm dead, I'm going to be on the Ark. I would be like, this other fucking version of me is going to be on the Ark and I'm pissed that it's not me.
Yeah. I agree, but also I think an element of me understands that that's a different person. And, you know, I'm a fall on my sword kind of guy. So, you know, I'm sure he would be thinking about the me outside and would be regretful, but
the ones
also
on the
like,
Ark might not even know about anything outside of the Ark.
Oh yeah, you're right. Well, I don't think I would buy into the continuity cult, so I wouldn't know that there's an alive me version outside the Ark for sure, because I would have gotten into the scan knowing that there would have been two me's. Anyway, when you make it to the final station, Ark in tow, you find her. Catherine's body. You learn that they brought the damn thing here and turned around because the barrel of the cannon collapsed somewhere along the path. Catherine wanted to launch right now, but the rest of the gang wanted to run it back and wait and think it over. In a tussle over the controls, someone hits her in the head with a wrench, and that's where she lies. All that death, all that sacrifice, hit in the back of the head with a wrench and left to die on the station floor. They couldn't risk the launch because if it broke, they wouldn't be able to rebuild it. Because they domed Catherine. Catherine, too, gets over this pretty quickly, as she is known to do. But number one Catherine hater right here. I have to be fair. Catherine never felt human to begin with. She genuinely was indifferent to being a scan versus being a person, because no matter how she was, she struggled to connect with people and didn't feel connected to her body much before she was a scan. Catherine, too, expresses lament more over the fact that they stopped her than over the circumstances of her death. You load the Ark into the cannon, you load the Ark into the cannon round, then you load the round into the cannon, and you fire the Ark, just your scan is uploaded to it. You blink, and you are still in the pilot seat. You lost the coin toss this time. You ask Catherine why it didn't work, and this begins an argument where Simon expresses it's bullshit that they get to stay down here while those imposters, he says imposters, get to live it up in paradise. Either the stress or the water pressure around them ultimately get to Catherine, and she dies. Again. And you're left at the bottom of the ocean, alone and in the dark. And then the credits roll. After the credits, you get one small snippet of the Simon that did make it. He finds a terminal in the lush gardens of the entry scene and asks him a questionnaire about how he feels now that he's in the Ark. You get to see these questions right after you and Catherine discover what you really are. And the questions read as follows. How would you describe your physical condition? I feel normal. I feel invigorated, a better version of myself. I feel alien. I'm a visitor inside another body. I feel fake, no longer a real person. Question 2. How would you describe your mental condition? I feel normal. I feel disconnected, a separation of mind and body. I feel altered, a change in character. I feel lost. I don't exist anymore. How would you describe your senses? As expected, normal. I feel more sensitive to and aware of my surroundings. I feel blocked as if my senses are numb. I'm lacking one or more of my natural senses. How would you describe the sensation of your new condition? It's pleasant. I don't like it. Something is wrong. It's disconcerting. Everything feels constructed. Depressing. I can't shake the feeling of it all being fake. Are you troubled by the fact that you are no longer strictly human? No, I feel fine. Somewhat, I feel like I lost myself. Yes, I mourn my previous existence. I don't care what form I take as long as I get to carry on. How do you perceive your new existence? It's a direct continuation of my previous self. Like a new chapter in my life. It's all like being born all over again, a complete do-over. It's something completely different and has nothing to do with my previous self. Do you think this new existence will be life worth living? Yes, just as much as my previous life. Yes, but with less meaning. Maybe we can find a sense of meaning in this world. No, it's too detached from reality and everything that I know. Would you rather be removed from the project and accept death? No, maybe I need to think about it, or yes. Do you think that an existence of that form would be worth living?
I don't know if the people on the Ark have memory of being outside the Ark or not, because it seems like in some cases yes, and in some cases no.
Sure.
I think if I remembered being outside of the Ark, I would have a really hard time not being like horribly depressed and borderline suicidal in the Ark.
I agree. I have this problem with amusement parks, where like when I'm in there, I could tell it's a facade constructed to make me feel a certain way, and I hate that. This would be like permanently living in one.
Yeah, I don't think I would. It's difficult for me to understand how within the rules and bounds of the Soma universe, memory to your other scans and existences works. Like, I don't know if Arc Simon remembers Slyman and Simon 2 and like 2015 Toronto Simon, because I think like technically you're playing the whole game as Simon 3 until you cut to being Arc Simon at the very end.
Yes.
So if that's the case, I think you have memory of everything before. But
yeah, no, you do. The experience is continuous.
But how does that work if there was a point where there were two of you? Do you remember both of them? Do you just remember one of them?
When you're copied, you now begin to drift apart as people because you are now both having different experiences. But the moment you are copied is identical.
But if before you entered the Ark, you were copied and there was two of you,
you would remember the one of you that got into the Ark and then was copied. The last thing you remember is when you were copied. So Simon 2, pre-Slyman, does not remember dying in Toronto. He just remembers all of his life up to the point he sat in the chair. And so Slyman remembers all of that and then sitting in the chair again and then waking up in the new body. He does not remember asking Catherine why it didn't work.
Yeah,
because that was not him anymore.
Yeah, I just think that breaks down a little bit if you were copied multiple times before getting onto the Ark. But I think you would regardless have some memory of before the Ark. And I think having that memory of like a separate, what I would probably see personally as a separate existence before getting onto the Ark would be extremely hard to deal with.
Do you think living this way is akin to avoiding death?
Yes, I do think it's akin to avoiding death, but it feels more like being kept alive torturously than it does avoiding death in a good way. I don't know, it feels like a really sour way to avoid death.
If you were the one left behind, would you feel envious or glorious that another you gets to live this way?
I would feel envious for sure.
I would also not know that I didn't like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. if you like quote lose the coin toss, I think I would feel pretty envious in the way that Simon does at the end of the game. I think that would be pretty hard to deal with. I think being on the
Yeah.
other side of it would also be pretty hard to deal with.
Yeah.
I think I would feel terrible either way. So maybe I would be like envious that one of them gets to be like on the arc, which is like nice, and I have to be like down here in hell. But I would also maybe recognize that like uh Arc Simon's also gonna have a pretty tough time, I think,
Yeah.
after getting over the initial shock.
Yeah, I think so too. Because it's like I just said, like I know I would have the memories of before Arc, and I would know there's another me, and I would feel bad that that me isn't the one that got to make it, and I would probably feel really fucking guilty that I didn't that like I survived.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about survivor's guilt, but that's true as well.
Would any version of you feel like any of the other versions were imposters?
Um, I don't think I would. I don't think I would consider them imposters. I think I would have a difficult time understanding why those other ones aren't me. Um, but I don't think I would consider them imposters of myself. I think that they, like we've talked about the whole time, it's the same mind and the same consciousness. So it's just other me's rather than imposters of myself.
At what point do these copies cease to be each other and begin to be new people?
I think if a copy's made and then both of those copies go on living from that point and there's not like a death cult situation, uh, I think nature and nurture come into play there. I think the lived experience of each copy would cause them to develop differently. Like I would be a different person, I would behave differently, I would feel different ways and make different decisions if I had had different experiences in my life. And I think I think that would happen if two separate copies went on living separately from one another. They would be the same consciousness at the start, and then that consciousness would develop in different ways depending on how their lives went.
I agree. I think the moment you have the different experience of waking up in the two locations is the moment you become different people. A lot of the game forces us to make decisions around the split time where that is very nebulous, but I think you give that some time to develop and these become different people.
Yeah. Which sucks because that's kind of agreeing with the death cult's logic.
Yeah, you want to stay the same person. I asked this question earlier, but with all this context, is this immortality or is this damnation?
It's damnation, because I think that I think that this would be extremely hard to deal with and I wouldn't want to exist like this. So therefore it's damnation.
I agree. And now, do you believe in continuity?
I still don't know. I'm not even going to say yes or no. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's really hard to answer because I believe that we have continuous experiences and we continue to be ourselves because of our own continuity. And we don't have to worry about this question because we don't have a way for us to be replicated like this and then have to question which one of us is the real one. But I don't believe in continuity in the same way that like you actually get to be the same person when you die. You wake up in the arc. You are different people.
Yeah.
But when faced with questions of leaving myself behind to suffer or mercy killing myself, I believe in it. So, like,
but this also, like, if you don't believe in continuity, then like all of Simon's memories from Toronto are memories of a different person, right?
Yeah.
Which also doesn't feel quite right. So I don't know. I really don't.
This game is so good. Anyway, that was Soma. I hope you all enjoyed joining me through a major existential crisis. Frictional Games is a new one on the horizon. It just got pushed back, though. It's called Ontos. And here's the description. A sci-fi mystery set on the repurposed moon hotel Samsara. Uncover cryptic experiments, face unsettling encounters, and piece together a mind-bending narrative. The deeper you go, the more the truth unravels as you confront the ultimate question. What is reality?
Sounds like the same game.
It sounds very similar. There's a lot of brain shit. I looked at the ad and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, that'll be
There's
fun for you.
Yeah, great. I bet this game will be as much of a blast as Soma, but I'm not convinced it will hit me as hard as Soma did. Anyway, we're Koolaid Stand. You can follow us at on Instagram. You can follow us on YouTube. You can follow us on Spotify. We have videos and audio on both. Audio if you close your eyes. If you don't follow us, I'll fucking replicate you, I guess, and then make you have all these moral quandaries.
I'm gonna become your evil demon.
Oh shit. I mean, I know I can't replicate myself into a new me, but these days it doesn't seem impossible. Just the idea of it alone is enough to make me question myself and my experience as a person to the core. And I think it makes me ask the question, what are we?
I don't know anymore, man.
See ya.